getting a honk for the amen. That'll be a little different. So we'll go back to regular amen. But it is, but it'll be one. But it is Memorial Day today, and we definitely want to remember those who gave their lives for this country. So we have a video for you to watch.
Dear Dad, after all these years, I've never stopped writing. I still remember many of the letters I wrote you, and the moments I wish you could have seen.
Dear Daddy, I'm sad you have to leave, but I try real hard to remember that you told me you'll always love me and to write you all the time. I didn't want you to go, but you pulled me close and hugged me tight, and you said that some things are worth fighting for. Dear Dad, I learned how to roller skate today. You'd be so proud. I fell down sometimes and skinned my knees, so I tried again and again. I was brave just like you.
Hey Dad, sorry I haven't been in a while. I'm 14 today, can you believe it? Don't worry though, no boyfriends. Mom and I are doing well. Sometimes we get late, but it's not too bad. Dear Dad, high school graduation. I really wish you were here today. College is just around the corner. I'm staying close to home though. I figured you'd want me to help keep an eye on Mom. Dear Dad, today I married the man of my dreams. He reminds me of you. He's gentle yet strong. He loves serving me, and he can make me laugh all the time, just like you could. Granddaddy went ahead and walked me down the aisle, said that you'd be proud of me. It was a wonderful day seeing so many friends. We talked about you a lot and how we wished you were here. Oh, Daddy, I love coming to visit you. This time, I brought someone else. Your granddaughter. I tell her about you all the time. We talk about the letters I write you and that maybe she can write you too someday. Yesterday, she told me she'd love to meet you. So I pulled her close, hugged her tight, and told her about how some things in this world are worth fighting for, even dying for. Love always, your daughter.
We go in a moment of silence for those who gave their life to this country. Father, we thank you for the nation that we have. We thank you for the founding of this nation and the beliefs of our country. We thank you for the men and women who died, Father, in defending our country, preserving our freedoms. It was so easy to forget about their sacrifice. I pray that we would not do that. I pray we would honor them. Father, we thank you for the sacrifice that reminds us of the sacrifice of your Son, who gave his life for us. We pray that we would honor you today, Lord Jesus, and honor those for whom honors due. We pray these things in Jesus' name.
We'd like to ask at this time if everyone would please stand to your feet and let's say the pledge of allegiance to the American flag. So if you will, attention, salute, pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Please remain standing and let us sing my country is the good. My country is a big, sweet land of liberty, of B.I.C. Land where my fathers died, land of the
today, and that's our graduates. And we're thankful for them. They had an unusual year this year, to say the least. They had to finish up at home. We have several wonderful graduates here today. And to do this today, we've got our youth minister, Dalton Moran. Somebody's going to come at this time. Dalton has poured into their lives. I know all of us are thankful for the work that Dalton actually put into our youth. And he's going to present Bibles after he says a few words. And we've also got Bill Hopkins, his wife Shannon, are with us today and asked you to come. And we're thankful every time we've asked you to come, you have been. We appreciate your leadership. It's not easy to be a leader in a hard time like this. And thank you for what you do. So I'm going to turn it over to Dalton this time.
Mr. Hopkins. I have a personal relationship with him. I had the honor and pleasure of coaching his oldest in middle school, and he was my #1 supporter. He was there for me, and anytime we've ever had any need in the school system as a church, he's always been more than welcome to open the door. So we're so thankful for him, and thank you for coming this morning and joining us. Just real quickly, I want to say a quick word about these graduates. They are a special group. They've endured a lot, and they didn't get to have the typical year. I know me personally, most of you know I'm a huge baseball fan, and if I'd have missed my senior year of baseball, I would have been livid. Absolutely beside myself. I can't imagine. I can't even pretend to tell you I understand what you're going through and what you dealt with. But you've been resilient. Right? You have a year to remember. You have something to remember, something to draw from, and even something to cherish, because you got some things that some of us didn't get to have, and that's time with your family. Right? That's time to spend in the Word. And on a personal note, me and Ashley have only been here for a little over 2 years now, and so this early group is the first group that kind of accepted us. Right? And as leaders in the older group in the church, or in the youth, it means a lot for them to accept us, right? Because the youngers follow, right? And so for the older group to accept us, that means a lot. And to buy into the vision that God had placed on our hearts and what they saw in that. So thank you for that. Thank you for being that for us, right? That's on a personal note. Right, y'all really didn't think I'd get up here and knock right? But I'm so grateful for them, and I just want to encourage you and tell you guys that from what I see in this group, like they are destined for great things. And by great, I want to clarify just for a brief second what I mean by great. Right, Scripture says that the greatest are the least, right, in His kingdom, and this group is absolutely a personification of that. Right? They're service-oriented. They dig in. And I just want to encourage each of you graduates to be great. Right? But by a different set of terms than what the world deems great. Right? To be the least of these means to be a great servant, to have joy in doing so, to love one another and to love one another well. Right? And I think you guys are a great example of that. And you've proven that. Right, so despite the circumstances, despite what's taking place, understand you're destined for great things as long as you keep the Lord where He needs to be. And that's not co-pilot, but that's pilot of your life. Right. So with that being said, Mr. Hopkins is going to come up here, and he's going to, I guess if he has a few words, he's more than welcome to, and he's going to call out names, and you'll come up, and I will hand you a Bible. And if you would, just line up. Don't go straight back, please, to your seat. Stand and be socially distant, right, from one another. And then we're going to say a quick prayer over you. And please feel free to applaud raucously for them if you would like. All right?
I wouldn't use the word raucously because I don't try to use anything I can't spell. But I do get asked to come to churches to do a lot of things, and I want to show why I always never turn this one down. It's one of the few places, Brother Ben, that I can still steal the podium. I choose that because if anybody knows me, when I go street, I have a little podium that I bring with me. It's see-through, it's all that way. pleasure to be here. It's a good long drive, maybe what, Shannon, was it 6 minutes here to the house? So, took me, I could even do my hair. So, with that being said, I do want to say a few words before we do that. You talked about being your first graduate, or first class. Well, I don't want to follow you because now I'm going to cry. But I don't know if you know, but I'm retiring this year and I've taken another job in Fayetteville, Tennessee. So this will be my last graduating class. And so that's kind of made me a little nostalgic in itself, and that, you know, it's my last. So it means a lot to me to get to do this. So I do appreciate y'all allowing me that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to call the name of the student, the school, and then I'm going to call out parents and grandparents, and then after that you can start that word. What was it, lusciously? Or is that? All right, we have Caleb Anthony Bishop, Hartsville High School. Parents Chad and Lisa Bishop. And with that being said, I'm going to announce whether they're here or not here because they deserve our praise and to be recognized. And, you know, maybe they're listening right now. Our next one, Elizabeth Grace Halbrooks, Priceville High School. Parents Pat and Christy Halbrooks. Grandparents Horace and Sarah Clemens and Sue Graham. Let's give all that for them. I looked in here and I thought, there's a house here. Brianna Patterson, Priceville High School. Parents Amanda Lacey, Jeremy, and granddaughter of Teresa Lackey. Olivia Hilton Duran, Priceville High School. And her parents are Melvin and Christy Duran, grandparents Melvin Duran Jr. and the late Linda Duran, and Marvin and Betty Woodruff. Taylor Dean, Priceville High School. Parents, Patrick and Kelly Dean. Grandparents, Larry and Janine Dean. Great-grandmother, Vivian Bracken. Dylan Vargas, Hartsville High School. Parents are Tim and Angie Vargas and Charlie and Sherry Yeager, step-grandson of Vaughn Yeager. Aubrey Nicole Freeman, Priceville High School. Mother and stepfather Tabitha and Jake Linderman. Grandfather Jerome Linderman, Dana Woodall. Grandparents Denise Waters and Tony Waters. I can't wait to tell Dr. Jones and Hartsville that I actually graduated a few of her students. So, that'll be my next phone call. You know, I do want to say things that they said, oh, goodness, my year has been bad. I've had a really bad year. Y'all trying to hear with me. And you think that something's been taken away from you. But, you know, you miss some of your best days. I'm going to disagree. If you're saved, all of our best days are ahead of us. So, anyway, we have some other graduates that I'd like to recognize. If there's any pre-K or kindergarten graduates. Will they please stand? Thank y'all so much for allowing me to be part of your lives. Thank you for allowing me to be part of the service. And thank you very much. God bless each and every one of you. Thank you.
That was my bad. I didn't give good directions. My bad. So I'm just going to say a quick prayer over these 4 students, and then we'll turn it back over to normally scheduled service. All right, let's pray. Dear Heavenly Father, Lord, I thank you so much for each and every student that's here, not here. Regardless, I'm so thankful to have had just an opportunity to have a small glimpse of pouring into their lives, Lord. And I hope they know that they are always loved here, they are welcomed here, and ultimately that they know and cherish and treasure the love that can be found in you. Father, I pray that that's our ultimate goal, is that we're pointing one another to you. And so, Father, as they go out from here, it's not an ending, but as Mr. Hopkins shared, that there's something to look forward to. There's great work to be done, and we know, according to your word, as long as we are here on earth, that we have a commission, Lord. And I pray that that's our goal. We're seeking opportunities to spread your word, and I pray that over their lives. I pray that you would lead, guide, and direct them, and show them what it truly means to be great, Lord. We love you and we praise you, and it's your name we pray. Amen.
Let's give them that. I invite you, let's all stand together this morning, and let's continue our worship with I Want to Know More About My Lord. Church, please let's sing out this morning. While I travel through this world, I know my way.
seems to hit the nail on the head as far as matching it up with that, and just setting the mood and just allowing our hearts to worship. And so thank you for what you do on that. The fact that we are able to be here in this place, in this holy room, you know, to be outside in your cars, one thing, be in your living room, and you know, in your pajamas is another thing. That's holy ground too, where the Lord is. But this just feels different. I'm thankful to be here. And think about opening the eyes of our hearts. We're going to be in the book of Mark, by the way, as you see, Mark chapter 8. So let's begin to turn there. Thinking about open the eyes of my heart. We're going to talk today about blindness, about spiritual blindness, and how what an awful thing that can be. There are two groups that are represented here. One is the Pharisees, and another is the disciples, and they're both blind spiritually, but they're different kinds of blindness. And so that's really the theme today, is the two types of blindness. You know, when I was a little kid, and I was, I guess, Easton's age over there, a graduate, my mother's grandmother was still alive, and she was completely blind. I know this is going to sound cruel, but there was a lot of humor around my grandparents' house because of her blindness. And I'll tell you what I mean by that before you throw stuff at me. A couple of things. She did snub. She did. A lot of those ladies at that age did at that time, but she didn't want anybody to know it. But she was blind, so she'd go to the bathroom, and of course she had stuff all over the sink, all over the bathroom floor. So it's funny to me as a 4 or 5-year-old, I didn't know what it was for a long time. I'd ask Mom, she wouldn't tell me. If I asked Dad, he would tell me. So I thought it was cinnamon, I thought it was cocoa powder, I couldn't tell what it was. I just knew it didn't smell very good. But anyway, that's what it was. We always thought that was funny that she thought she pulled one over on us, but everybody knew that she did stuff. And another thing that was funny about that was my grandmother was a great cook. She was a wonderful cook. We would go to her house every Sunday after church to eat. And my grandfather, which was my great-grandmother, the blind one, that's her son-in-law, he was in charge of her plate. And you can imagine how that would go. I remember one time, we were done with the meal, and my grandmother had brought out a cake, and my grandfather took some of the frosting and put it on a piece of that greedy cornbread. And he gave it to her. And she bit into it and yelled at him, and if she could have caught him, she'd have strangled him. So there's all kinds of fun stuff that happened because of her blindness. But I did feel sorry for her, as you would do. She was an independent woman, and she would bump into things when she didn't want to ask for help. She couldn't see to read. She couldn't see to watch TV. She couldn't see her grandchildren and her great-grandchildren grow up. It was a difficult thing. It's a terrible thing to be blind. But it's a much worse thing to be spiritually blind. And this passage is all about that. Again, there's not just one kind of blindness here. There's a couple of different kinds. One is to be guarded against at all costs. And if you find yourself this morning realizing that you belong in one group, then you need to guard your heart and your mind against this kind of blindness at any cost. Don't let yourself be this way. Ask the Lord to help you out of this if you can see yourself getting to this point. And then there's another kind of spiritual blindness where Jesus in His compassion and His grace meets us where we are. I want to start with verses 11 and 12, and let's talk about the blindness of the Pharisees. It says in verses 11 and 12, the Pharisees came out and began to argue with Him, seeking from Him a sign from heaven to test Him. Sighing deeply in his spirit, He said, "Why does this generation seek for a sign? Truly I say to you, no sign will be given to this generation." We'll read again verse 13. Leaving them, He again embarked and went away to the other side. And I know it's a little strange to begin in the middle of the passage, but this passage is laid out a little bit differently, and I want to think about it in a certain way of the two types, just contrasting these two types. I thought it was best to begin here. We'll go back and read the rest of it, and it'll all make sense to you. But these are the Pharisees. They come up to Jesus, and they ask for a sign. Now my question is, why are they here in the first place? Are they here to seek after some wisdom from Him? Are they seeking salvation from Him? Are they wondering if He's the Messiah and something that He might say that could turn their thoughts positively toward Him? Of course, that's not the case. They were the enemies of Christ. They're trying to trap Him in something. They already hatched a plan to destroy Him. That's why they were there. And so they asked for a sign that if you remember back, the Pharisees had been, in the book of Mark, if you remember where we've been, they were present at many of His sermons. They were present at His healings and His miracles and things like that. So they're not there to seek and to learn. They're there to accuse and destroy. That's why they're there. They ask him for a sign. And did you notice that they get the deep sigh? You ever get the deep sigh? You ever talk to somebody and they just get, you know what that means, don't you? You're an expert in this nonverbal communication. I don't have to explain to you what it means, but if you ask your wife something and she gives you the deep sigh, you know what that means. It may mean something a little bit different, depending on the circumstances, but it's never good, is it? It's never good when you get the deep sigh. Why did Jesus do that? Frustration, exasperation, these kind of things. You ask for a sign, but you've already seen so much. You ask for a sign, but your hearts are hardened to the point where if I give you a sign, you're not going to listen anyway. It's not going to make a difference to you anyway. You ask for a sign, and I am the sign. I am the bread of life. I am the one the Father has sent. You ask for a sign. Here I am. Here's a sign of the Father's love. Here I am, the Messiah. All you have to do is look at me. I'm the ultimate sign, but you'll never see it because you've chosen to harden your hearts. You're spiritually blind in that way. And you notice what Jesus did? He's fairly polite, but he's short. And he says a word or two, and then he walks away. He's done with them. He's not pursuing them anymore. He has nothing more to say to them. Anything else to say to somebody like that who has hardened their hearts, closed off their heart and their mind, will just be a waste of breath. Look at verses 13 through 15. It says, leaving them, he again embarked and went away to the other side. And they had forgotten to take bread, and did not have more than one loaf in the boat with them. And he was giving orders to them, saying, watch out, beware of the leaven of the Pharisees and of the leaven of Herod. As we're talking to the disciples, this is the point where we could have read the beginning and it made more sense, but at the beginning of the passage, before we read it in a minute, Jesus feeds the 4,000. It's a totally different miracle than the feeding of the 5,000. And there are 7 baskets left over of food and of bread. And they only have one there. And so what's going on is the disciples had forgotten to bring the bread. Jesus had done this miracle. There were leftovers there. And whoever was supposed to do it just didn't do it. And so I'm sure they're looking at one another. You should have done it. No, you should have done it. I thought you had it. And that's what they were thinking about. They were thinking about this physical bread. But Jesus is thinking on a different level. He's thinking on a spiritual level. And so he says, beware of the leaven of the Pharisees. Beware of their actions. Beware of their thoughts. Beware of their hearts. And this is exactly what we talked about a couple of weeks ago. Be careful that your relationship with God is not just outward. It's not just coming to church. Not just what you post. It's not just what other people can see. Be careful that it's not just an outward thing, but it's inward. He wants your heart. Be careful that you do what you do from the heart, not to be seen, not because you think it'll earn you some kind of favor with God. The only favor we have earned from God is what Jesus earned on our behalf. Be careful that what you do is not just routine, but real. Why did you come today? Did you come because you thought it'd be the thing to do? Did you come because it's a routine? I come to church. I'm going to come because I always come. Or does he have your heart? He's more concerned that he has your desires, that you desire him. You desire a relationship with him, that he desires what you can give, your tithes, your offerings. He's more desirous of those things. He cares about and he desires more your motives than your actions. It's great to do things. You should do things. We're called to do things and serve, and we're called outwardly and things like that. But he's concerned about the heart, the motive. We need to examine ourselves. The Pharisees had one kind of blindness. It was a self-induced blindness, you might say. They'd chosen that. They had a hard-heartedness, a willful blindness. And you'll notice Jesus did not beg them, did he? He didn't pursue them very hard. In fact, he didn't say very much to them at all. He would later say some pretty scathing things to them, but mostly he just let them go their own way, unhindered. What a sad thing. And I would say to you, like Jesus says to the disciples, do not be like them. Do not harden your heart. Do not make it merely an outward thing. Don't become unteachable. Don't make it only external, but make sure you have a real relationship with God. The thing that we ought to fear, just about more than anything else, is having the Savior back away from us and say, I've given them an invitation. I've convicted their hearts. I've shown them all the right things, and they have walked away from me, and they've hardened their hearts. And so I'm going to let them go their own way. We ought to fear that. We don't want that. It's one type of blindness. There's another type of blindness that's here, and it's the blindness of the disciples. Let's go back now and look at verse 1, being here in chapter 8 of Mark. It says, in those days, when there was again a large crowd and they had nothing to eat, Jesus called his disciples and said to them, I feel compassion for the people because they've now remained with me 3 days and have nothing to eat. If I send them away hungry to their homes, they will faint on the way. And some of them have come from a great distance. And his disciples answered him, where will anyone be able to find enough bread here in this desolate place to satisfy these people? And he was asking them, how many loaves do you have? And they said, 7. And he directed the people to sit down on the ground. And taking the 7 loaves, he gave thanks and broke them, and started giving them to his disciples to serve to them. And they served them to the people. They also had a few small fish, and after he had blessed them, he ordered these to be served as well. And they ate and were satisfied. And they picked up 7 large baskets full of what was left over of the broken pieces. About 4,000 were there, and he sent them away, and immediately entered the boat with his disciples and came to the district of Dalmanutha. Now you're caught up, right? You're caught up with all these verses. Now this is a different miracle. You know about the feeding of the 5,000? It might be the most popular Sunday school lesson that's out there for kids, the feeding of the 5,000. It's a wonderful story. It's also in Mark, but this is different. It's different context, different numbers, different leftover baskets, the whole thing. It's clear. There's another passage where Jesus said, don't you remember the 5,000? And don't you remember the 4,000? So this is not that Mark got mixed up here. These are 2 totally different things, 2 totally different miracles that took place. And I want to remind you, just as we talked about in the feeding of the 5,000 back several weeks ago, of some things here that we're reminded of. First of all, the incredible compassion of Jesus. He's so compassionate. And you think he'd be a distant God. You think anyone who is God come to earth would be distant, wouldn't care about our problems or anything like that. But he is so compassionate. And he cares about the people. He cares that their stomachs are empty. He cares that they're hungry. He sympathizes, and this is what I want to say to you about this, and just remind you, that he sympathizes with your weaknesses. He sympathizes with your temptations. He sympathizes with your fears and doubts. And I want to encourage you to go to him with these things because he cares about them. He has such compassion, and we're going to have an invitation time soon. And I would encourage you, if you're hurting, you're suffering, and you want to come to this altar, please do. You'll find compassion here. You'll find the great compassion of Jesus. Another thing is that we see that he cares about the little moments in our lives. We think sometimes about the big moments, like a graduation. Paul was cleaning out yesterday. Some in our playroom, we got a little bookcase there that has a bunch of stuff that we hadn't looked at in years. And there was stuff that dealing with the birth of children and our marriage, a trip that we went on to Colorado, and she was pulling this out, telling me about this or that. And these are big moments in our lives, but most of our lives are not made up of big moments. They're just a little day-to-day small moments. That's what our lives are. And we sometimes think that I don't need to bother Jesus with this. I don't need to bother him with every little detail of my life. He doesn't have time for this and that. Please don't think that. That is where the relationship is. Walk with him daily. And he not only has great compassion, but he cares about the little moments. He doesn't just care about who you're going to marry and your graduation and what college you choose. He cares about so much more than that. Go to him with everything. Live this life of yours with him in relationship. That's what it's about. Did you notice the reaction of the disciples here when he says, I'd like to feed these people? They've done this before. It hadn't been that long ago. And listen to what they say in verse 4. His disciples answered him, where will anyone be able to find enough bread here in this desolate place to satisfy these people? And can you get a more faithless answer than that? They had just seen him break this bread and feed the 5,000. And they say, good luck with that, Jesus. Where are you going to get the bread for this? They just seen him do it. What should they have said? They should have said, Jesus, I remember last time, a couple weeks ago, what you did was you prayed, you looked up, and you thought, if you'll just do that, you just begin to do that, we'll put our aprons on and we'll be ready to serve. That's what they should have said. But instead they say this ridiculous thing. How are we going to do this? How does a follower of Christ miss it so badly? How do we sometimes have such little of faith? How do these disciples not recognize his power? How do they not recognize his ability and that he has such great compassion? But before we, pounce on the disciples like we're prone to do, sometimes we need to look at ourselves, don't we? So often, I am faithless in a situation. I look at it with eyes not of faith. I look at it as if there's not a God in the universe and there's not a Savior who cares about me or has compassion, and I'll think, Lord, what am I going to do? and that's the kind of thing we do all the time. What if you've got a boss that is really hard to get along with? Makes your life just totally difficult all the time. Every day, you go in there and your boss just makes things harder for you. What's our reaction? It's like the world will say, so I don't have to take this anymore. Or we'll be like, I've just been abandoned. I'm left to myself in this place and nobody cares. The disciples said to themselves things that were worldly. But what we should preach to ourselves are gospel things. Things like, Lord, I know that you love me. I know that you care about this situation. And I know that hard, good, honest, hard work honors you. And I know that when I'm kind to people, even my enemies, that's honoring to you because it's obedience. So I'm going to work hard. I'm going to be kind to this person. I'm going to have faith. I'm going to leave the results up to you. We need to constantly preach those things to ourselves. Maybe you've got financial difficulties. There are a lot of people now that are facing that. And what do? We tend to want to say, worst case scenario all the time. We want to think about things in those terms. We want to play the what if game. What if this happens? What if that happens? When if we saw things through eyes of faith, what we would say is, God, I know you love me. You love me. You demonstrated that, and then you sent your son to die for me. I know you care about the little things, and this is a big thing. I'm having trouble. There's going to be a bill due next month that I'm not sure about. I'm scraping and I'm saving, but Lord, I'm just not sure about that. I know you love me. I know you're there. I know you're walking this road with me. I know you care about and feed the birds, and so I know you're going to take care of me. You should be preaching those things to yourselves, and yet so often we're like the disciples, and we have nothing but bad things to say. I want us to read verse 16 as we move on to this. Let's go on to 16 through 21. It says, they began to discuss with one another the fact that they had no bread. And Jesus, aware of this, said to them, why do you discuss the fact that you have no bread? Do you not see or understand? Do you have a hardened heart? Having eyes, do you not see? Having ears, do you not hear? And do you not remember when I broke the 5,000 loaves for the 5,000? How many baskets full of broken pieces did you pick up? They said to him, 12. When I broke the 7 for the 4,000, how many large baskets full of broken pieces did you pick up? And they said to him, 7. And he was saying to them, do you not yet understand? Now they're blind too. Jesus understands their blindness. These Pharisees had hardened their hearts. They were spiritually blind, but they had enough understanding that they should have seen things the way that they are. They had chosen to harden their hearts. These disciples had a certain kind of spiritual blindness as well. But did you notice how Jesus responded differently to them? What did he do to the Pharisees? He just kind of turned and walked away. He didn't beg, he didn't plead, he didn't do anything like this. But with the Pharisees, he is with them. He's right there with them in the boat. He is patient. He's gently walking them through this simple advancement of faith. And they're going to get there because he's with them. All you got to do is look at the scripture. These are the same guys in the boat who were saying, or right before that, it said, how are we going to feed all these people? I've just seen this miracle of 5,000, and they say, how's this going to happen? The same people later would write Matthew, John, 2 Peter. These are the same people. And they got there because Jesus was patient with them. And he's going to be patient with you. So there are two kinds of this blindness. One is a hard-heartedness. There's not much cure for that. Do we really want to harden our hearts hearts to the point where Jesus walks away from us, distances himself from us, and says, just let them go their own way. Maybe they'll learn the lesson the hard way. Do we really want that? There's another kind of blindness. And it's just sometimes a lack of faith. Sometimes it's a lack of understanding. Sometimes it's just, I'm just not there yet spiritually. I'm just not spiritually mature yet. I'm just not there. These are two totally different kinds of blindness. And Jesus has such compassion on the second. We're going to end with the last section, verse 22 through 26. It says, they came to Bethsaida, and they brought a blind man to Jesus and implored him to touch him. Taking the blind man by the hand, he brought him out of the village, and after spitting on his eyes and laying his hands on him, he asked him, do you see anything? And he looked up and said, I see men, for I see them like trees walking around. Then again he laid his hands on his eyes and looked intently, and was restored, and began to see everything clearly. And he sent him home, saying, do not even enter the village. This is an interesting passage. The Pharisees asked for a sign, and what did he do? He walked away. The hard-hearted ones, the spiritually blind ones, the one that had so much life, he didn't give a thing to. He walked away from them. But here are the disciples. They didn't ask for a sign. But boy, what a sign they got. And we've been talking about spiritual blindness. That's what this passage is all about. And now he goes into this village, and there's a physically blind man. You talk about a picture here. He said, you're blind. You were blind. Now, give me this blind man. I'm going to show you what I'm going to do. That's what this miracle is all about. Yes, it's about his compassion, but it's about more than that. Before we get there, just a couple of things that stick out to me. You'll notice that at the end, he says to the guy, don't even go into your village. We've noticed in Mark a couple of times where he says to them, don't say anything. What do? They immediately go out and they proclaim. So he says to this one, don't even go to your village. Just stay out, stay away. But then we see some other things too about this. Just like a couple of weeks ago, he uses spit. Now we detest spit, don't we? We try to avoid that at all costs. If somebody spits in your eye, somebody, has anybody ever done that to you? Spit in your eye? I've never had anybody spit in my eye. But normally that would be, of course, demonstrating contempt. You want to fight them, right? If they spit in your eye. But with Jesus, it's different. Just like a couple of weeks ago, we're demonstrating here his ability and his desire to be a very personal Savior. And can you get more personal than using your spit? Spitting in somebody's eye, touching them just like that. And that's what we want to see from this, that he wants to be very personal with you. It's not a hands-off relationship with Jesus. It's not a 6-foot apart kind of thing. It's as close as you want to be. Draw near to God, he will draw near to you. The only thing that is keeping you from being close to him is your desire. It's your heart and your ability or your desire with the things of the world. That's it. He wants to be very personal. What a compassionate and personal Savior we have. But he does this with the man, and he asks him, he says, what do you see? And he says, I see them men, but they're like trees walking around. That's no good. You don't want to see men like trees. You want to see men like men, right? Not shapes and shadows and figures. You don't want that. And so what's going on here? Did he make a mistake? Did he do something wrong? Did the one who does all things well, did he mess up in this healing thing? And of course, the answer is no. Just as this man's sight came in stages, so will the disciples' sight and understanding. They weren't there yet. But just stick with Jesus and you'll get there. Because he's patient and he's compassionate. They got where they were going. You can read the rest of the scriptures and you can know that Peter got where he was going. John got to where Jesus wanted to be. Matthew got to where he wanted to be. All of those because of the patience and the compassion of Jesus. And he's going to do the same with you. You just keep an open heart. Keep an open mind. Just allow the Savior to speak to your heart. Don't make it about external. Make it internal. Have a true walk and relationship with him, and he'll walk with you and you'll get where you're going. There's so many that are here, so many that are watching in our church and in churches that are around that have true and pure hearts to seek and serve him. You do. It's just obvious that your hearts are soft. There are times when you're broken over sin. You're just ready to seek him, and you've got pure hearts, And you may not understand it all. When you're traveling through this world of sorrows, as we sang, and you're gonna fall into compassion, or fall into temptation rather. You're gonna have those moments where you struggle and not know what to do. Have those faithless moments where you should be far advanced and think, Jesus, I know you're gonna come through here, but yet we're not there yet. But I don't worry about you because you have a soft heart. And Jesus is gonna make sure that you get there. I don't worry about you. My fear is for the one who may be here who has rejected God so many times that their hearts have begun to harden. And that door, that window of their heart is slowly closing. You've been to church, and you've heard the gospel, and you know it. And, you know, your mom taught it to you, your grandmother, your grandfather taught it to you. You know all about it, and you're here, and still you're not impressed. You've hardened your heart. You don't want to be in the Scripture. You're here, but you don't really want to be. It's not your desire. It's not your compassion, or it's not your desires. You're here, but you don't really want to be. Whatever it is, you've hardened your heart. That's the one I'm fearful for. My fear is also for the Christian, not just the unbeliever, who has said, I understand, but I'm just not interested. My fear is for the Christian for whom all this has become routine. You know, picking up your Bible daily is just become a routine to you. You pick it up, you read it, it doesn't penetrate anymore. You come to Sunday morning service, you come to Wednesday night, Sunday night, you do all those things, and it doesn't penetrate anymore. You've become a Christian Pharisee. It's become outward and not inward. What I want to ask you to do is to ask the Lord to renew your heart this week. In just a moment, we're going to have an invitation as Anthony comes and leads us, our instrumentalists. And so how we're going to do the invitation with all the social distancing. You don't have to do anything different on the invitation. You just come. You know, somebody right here might be mindful, just step over just a bit, but don't do anything different. You can leave that up to me. But I do want to encourage you to come. For some of you, or all of us really, it's been a long time since we've had this option available to do a regular invitation. And maybe the Lord's dealt with you in certain ways that don't even relate to today's message. But if you need to seek the Lord, you want to pray for someone, or by all means, as we talked about this morning, if you want to ask the Lord to give you a soft heart, you can feel that heart of yours hardening. And you just want to ask Him for a new and soft heart. Please come. There's room here. There's room here. There's room all over across. Just come and ask the Lord. We'd love for you to come today and be saved. Maybe you've heard this, and there's so many times where you've hardened your hearts. And it's very true that there may be a time when the invitation is the last one you have. And so if you're not saved today, I beg you to give your heart and your mind to Jesus Christ. Soften your heart and ask Him to save. We're going to pray, and then we'll have a time of invitation. You come as the Lord's leading. Father, we're thankful for today. We're thankful for your blessings and your mercy. Thank you for your grace and compassion. Thank you that you're a personal Savior, Father. We've seen all these things in the passage of Scripture today. Lord, my specific prayer is that there be anyone here who doesn't know you as Savior. Lord, they don't have you for the Lord of their lives. They're not saved, they're not sure that today might be that day of salvation. I pray that nothing would hinder us from coming. Father, I pray for the Christian that's here, that, Lord, you've spoken to them and they need to come. Lord, you've spoken to their heart already and they know they need to come. I pray that they will. I pray, oh God, that you will help us to be obedient. I pray that you help us to have soft hearts. Or if you've spoken in other ways that we need to pray for someone or pray for something that's going on in our life, I pray we would do that. Lord, we want to be close to you because we know that you're very personal to us. Thank you, Jesus, that you loved us enough to die for us. You're our Savior. You took away our sins, but not only that, you can help us to live lives that overcome and Father, that are just abundant lives through you. I pray we take hold of what you have for us today in Jesus' name. Amen.